Welcome to this week's edition of Black Authors Matter TV, where we interview the latest movers and shakers in the African American literary community. You'll meet some old friends, discover new ones, and stay abreast of the latest book developments around the country and even the world. So sit back and relax for the next 2 hours with Black Authors Matter TV co-hosts Gwen Richardson and Dr. Rhonda Lawson.
Good evening and welcome to the last edition of Black Authors Matter TV for Black History Month. Seems like it just started and now this is the last week of Black History Month. I'm Gwen Richardson, your host for tonight, and my co-host, Dr. Rhonda Lawson, had her literary event this past weekend in the DMV. It was a very, very nice event, but exhausting. Putting on events is very exhausting, and she was feeling like she was coming down with something today, so she's going to rest, and we'll see her next week. So we have a wonderful lineup again tonight, as we always do, and a couple of housekeeping notes I want to make people aware of. And because I'll be doing double duty, I'm going to be looking down because I use my phone. I don't have another laptop that I use. Rhonda has another laptop, but I always use my phone to check the chat and to see if there are any questions or anything like that. So when you see me looking down, that's why. But you have my full attention. So a couple of things I want to mention. One, the National Black Book Festival registrations are very strong this year. We're already at 40% capacity. So if you want to participate, don't delay in registering. The Black Authors Matter Children's Book Awards process is ongoing. It doesn't end until June, but if you're a children's author, go to blackauthormatterbookawards.com to find out the guidelines and the schedule and everything for submitting your book. You could be a finalist or a winner, and it's really great recognition for your work. And we have our normal Black Authors Matter TV award show that we have every year. And for those who've never seen the show, the award show is really, really great. Grand. We have entertainment and we have awards for people who have been on the show during the previous year. And the public, the viewers, get to vote on their favorite interviews in a number of categories. Normally we have between 10 and 12 categories. So the voting starts, well, the last show to be included is the March 4th show. So next week's show will be the last show to be included in the voting process. The voting starts March 17th and the award show is May 13th. So stay tuned for that, and we'll be talking more about that as we get closer to it. So I'm going to be bringing on our first guest. She's been on the show before, but it's been a little while. I checked back to see the last time that she was on the show, and it was actually the show we had on my birthday, which is June 20th in 2023. That was the last time Marita was on the show. So she has a new book that just came out a couple of weeks ago, I think, and she's going to tell us about that and all the other work she's been doing since we saw her last. So, Marita, welcome back to Black Authors Matter TV.
Let me unmute.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Clearly.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, welcome back to the show and congratulations on your latest book. And you don't write fluff in terms of when you write something that's really meaningful and impacts people. And this latest book, I thought it was more of a how-to instructional book, but when I read more about it, it's kind of like that in a quasi memoir too, if I'm not mistaken. But it's behind you. So do you have a copy you can put in front of the screen? I see it on the shelf behind you. How to Become a Black Writer. And I thought that was an intriguing topic. So first, is this a quasi memoir?
It is. It's a look at my 40-year career as a writer and as a literary activist. And it starts with my father telling me bedtime stories about heroes and heroines from Black history. And he was my first writing teacher. And it goes into my years in college at the journalism school at Columbia University. I was young, gifted, and Black in the 70s in New York City. And that's where I met Audre Lorde, who told me that my poetry was good to keep writing. When I was in college, Nikki Giovanni published one of my poems in a collection that she edited. And I subsequently wrote for Essence Magazine in the early days, and then began my career as the author of now 22 books. And along the way, founded the Hurston Wright Foundation, which is now celebrating 35 years.
Wow. So you've done a lot of things, not just being a writer, but I guess that's where it started. And what makes your story different from a lot of other people's stories is that your dad read to you. Most
Yeah,
people,
can
if
I?
someone was
Yeah.
reading to them, it was their mother reading or a female reading. And
Yeah.
your dad read to you. And now, was he a teacher or what was his
Well, you know
background?
what? My father didn't read to me. My father told me these stories.
Oh, he told you. Okay, I thought he was
And
reciting the
can I
story.
read a minute excerpt from the book
Sure,
that
sure.
introduces readers to my father?
This is your world.
Yeah. I'm 9 years old, lying beneath the blanket in my twin-size bed. A dull prick of light shimmers in the room's darkness as I eagerly resist sleep, waiting to be transported. Soon my bedroom will become a stage. My father sits beside me in a straight back chair. The scent of his cigar scented skin pulls me close. My father's skin is dark, dark like night. Yet I see him inside the shadows that fill the room as he clears his throat, the signal that a story is about to begin. Tonight, the story is about a woman named Harriet Tubman, a woman who was enslaved. My father often takes me on nocturnal expeditions to meet Black people who made and changed history. People I often have not learned about in school. Men and women who, under the spell of my father's voice and words, I imagine and see on the walls and ceiling of my room, loving their families, running to freedom, standing tall and brave in the soil of this place called history that my father makes real for me on nights like this. These stories were my good night, my sleep tight. My father guided me along a historical underground railroad. Did my father know he was creating a writer? Did he know he was teaching me the elements of a good story, of powerful storytelling and writing? A person is tested, an obstacle overcome. Did he know he was teaching me how to be a sorcerer of language? On those storytelling nights, the people I met became my kin, the places he took me, my home. So that's
Oh,
how the book begins. And where else would you start? And not only that, Gwen, but I was raised in Washington, D.C. And
okay.
I grew up on a street, Harvard Street, in a section of Washington called Columbia Heights.
I lived
And
in Washington. I don't know
okay,
if you knew that. I went to Georgetown. So
oh,
I was
okay,
there for those 4 years and then 2 years after.
okay,
I'm
okay.
familiar with Columbia
We
Heights.
couldn't get you to stay.
Well, I tell people I got to Texas following a fool. That's a whole nother story for another night.
Well,
Wait.
I grew up at 1450 Harvard Street.
Okay.
Now, 4 decades before I was born, at 1422 Harvard Street, the great writer of the Harlem Renaissance, Jean Toomer, was raised on the same street that I spent part of my childhood. Now, he was raised in that house by his grandfather, P.B.S. Pinchback, who was the first and
Okay.
only governor of Louisiana during Reconstruction.
Oh,
Now, I did
wow.
not know any of this until many years after I'd started my writing career, and I was honored with a plaque on that street that cited an excerpt from my book about Columbia Heights, and
Okay.
noted that Jean Toomer grew up on that street. So I had to become a writer with a father like that and a mother who told me I was going to write a book one day. And then growing up the same street with Jean Toomer.
Right. Now, what did your parents do?
My father was a
Professionally?
taxi driver.
Okay. Well, see, there that shows you that you don't have. See, I assume sort of, and I'm sure a lot of other people would that he maybe was a teacher or something, but you can teach yourself and read no matter what you do for a living. It's available to you really now on your phone. So you don't even have to go anywhere to read books. Um, you can do it on your phone. I prefer reading, I prefer paper, but uh, I was reading it on my Kindle for a while. But doing this show took me back to paper because I like one, I can better support the authors if I buy their books. And also, I give books away on the show too sometimes. So I just went back to paper and I prefer it. And when I have a stack of books, is to me is more impactful to show somebody, okay, these are the books that I'm recommending, like to a book club. If you have the actual books, it's not the same impact on the Kindle. If you
Mhm.
have the books, they're just
Well,
beautiful, the lines,
also,
the colors. I
well,
love it.
also reading on a Kindle is not the same as reading a book because your brain processes more information from a book than from an electronic device.
Right. And your retention is better as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So, and that's science. So, but so your book, now, where do you, when you talk about your upbringing and all that, then where do you go from there in the book? Is it strictly a memoir
Well,
or,
in the book, I talk about how I learned to be a writer, about the writing workshops I took.
okay,
I write about the wonderful mentors that I had, Audre Lorde, June Jordan, Nikki Giovanni. When I was at the journalism school at Columbia, I was studying for the first time in my academic career with Black teachers. I mean, really high, Phil Garland, who was an editor at Ebony magazine and the first Black woman to be a tenured professor at Columbia J School. So I was mentored and encouraged by some of the most brilliant, smartest people about writing out there. So it really matters where you live and the kind of education you get because you can bring into your sphere powerful mentors who will encourage you and give you the confidence to keep writing. And then for many years, I taught writing at George Mason University, at
okay,
Virginia Commonwealth University.
okay.
Um, and I write about teaching because I love teaching. I teach now at the University of Marita Golden. And people say, is that a real university? I say, yeah, yeah, look on the internet. It's a real university. And I love teaching with my own classes and my online workshops. I'm having more fun than I ever had in the academy. So through my personal story, you understand what it takes to become a writer. Marie Brown, who is a woman who was one of the first Black editors in the white publishing industry, and who either edited or agented probably three generations of Black writers, including me. She read the book and she said in the early draft, and she said, make sure that you tell people how you did the things you did. Like when you say that you took a workshop at the new school, tell them that you researched to find that you asked people where you could study. Because I find a lot of times today that young people who want to write, even though they're on the internet, they're very disconnected from information and they're disconnected from each other.
That is so true. The more seemingly social we are, the less personal it is. You can have people that are connected to you or follow you on social media, but they're not your friends. They're not people that you can rely on or count on, or now some of them may become actual friends in the physical, but normally you have to meet them for that to
Well,
happen.
in my workshops, which are virtual, before the pandemic, I was all in person. I did an occasional Zoom workshop. Now I'm strictly
Yes,
Zoom, and I like it because I can reach people all
all
over.
over, all over the
Um,
world.
yeah. And many times I encourage the people in my workshops, after you take this workshop, stay in touch with one another, start a support group. So I had a workshop a couple of years ago, and the women in that group started meeting on their own. And they would meet now, they would meet every Sunday to free write for an hour. So they did this for 2 or 3 years. And they said, you know what? We want to meet in person. So they all decided to meet one Sunday in Philadelphia. So, and I love that story. And I did a workshop this past Saturday at a local library. Before I read from the book and talked about it, I did a short writing workshop. And I was so pleased that after the workshop concluded, the participants were out in the hallway exchanging contact information because I said, look, you want support, you want a network, it's right here.
Well, one thing about social media that is good, you can connect with people with similar interests easily, much more easily than you could in the past. I'll give you an example. My daughter loves cats, and she's had a cat since she was a little girl. She has a cat now. She's 20, she'll be 29 on her birthday. Oh, no, 20. How old is she? 28 on her birthday? 7. I think she'll be 28 on her birthday. Anyway, um, she's part of a Facebook group of Black women who love cats. And they all post pictures of them with their cats and share cat stories. So I mean, and she said I forget, she said there were maybe 10,000 women in that group.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's definitely community, but it's a different kind of
I mean,
community.
yes.
And it doesn't substitute for in-person connections. And that's where young people have they spend so much time on their devices that they don't know how to be present with one another. And so that's a skill that's lost. But the wonderful thing about reading is that reading can connect you to different worlds and different people.
Yeah, there's been some science on studies on that, how the younger generation, their social skills have been hampered.
Mhm.
They didn't, like we were taught to look people in the eye. There's certain things that you do when you meet someone face to face. And there was a video that circulated. I'm sure there's more than one that circulated. It was it was at a bar or club. It was old school Black people and younger Black people. And the people on the dance floor were the older people, 50-ish, and then the younger people are all on their phones, just sitting down, scrolling. They were all with their heads in their phones. And, that's too much of going one way too far is not good.
Mhm.
And you need social skills in this world for everything.
Yeah. Well, writing my 22 books has been a wonderful adventure. Um, the novels have given me the opportunity to use my imagination in incredible ways. And the memoirs, because I've written a number of memoirs about my own life, have given me a deeper understanding of my own personal experience. And so I've often said, I don't even know how I would understand my life if I hadn't written so much about it, because it's been creative and it's been therapeutic. And right now I'm leading a 6-month, well, actually a 6-month workshop, a group of women who are writing their memoirs. And we're
Oh,
gonna
okay.
take a break, and then we're gonna start part 2 in late spring. But these are wonderful, wonderfully talented women, women of a certain age who have incredibly important stories to tell. And so we're living at a time where people feel they have the right to write. I just want people to feel they have the right to read also.
Yes, that's important. Now, of your 22 books, you said you have 22. What percentage are fiction versus nonfiction?
Well, I've written 6 novels. The rest are nonfiction, either anthologies or
Okay.
or memoirs and collections. And I like to go back and forth because like when I did the memoir, Don't Play in the Sun, one woman's journey through the color complex, that was about colorism.
Hmm.
And I wrote it at the time that India Ari came out with her song Video and Brown Skin.
Okay.
And so I got an opportunity to write about what my life had been like as a brown-skinned woman dealing with colorism. But I also interviewed other people. I interviewed light-skinned Black people, dark-skinned light people. I did research. I examined, popular culture. And it was very satisfying to write that book because I got so many responses from people all over the country and all over the world. I got a letter from a woman in Algeria, for example. Algeria, which is a North African country, is basically desert. And she said her mother didn't want her to go out in the sun because she was going to get too dark. Now, if you go outside in Algeria, you're going to get
If
dark.
it's
And
desert.
so it's a
Uh-huh.
global thing, you know?
Hmm.
So, and then my novels have been very, very diverse. My last novel was The Wide Circumference of Love, about a family dealing with Alzheimer's. And I spent several years researching that because that wasn't something that in my family I dealt with. And for that, I interviewed families who are caring for someone with Alzheimer's. I even spent time in a memory care unit with people who have Alzheimer's. And it was very, very satisfying to write a book like that. And it meant a lot to people who read it.
Yeah, a lot of times people don't realize that even when you write a novel, there's still research involved
Mhm,
if you're writing it well,
mhm,
especially if you're dealing with a particular topic that you're delving into, like you said there, or if it's historical, even if it's even if the characters aren't real people,
mhm.
if you're going back in history, you need to be accurate in terms of the language, the
Yeah,
clothing,
yeah,
what was happening at the time
right, right.
and the mores. So research is important in writing a novel,
And
if it's
probably the
done
most,
right.
yeah, probably the most important thing I've written lately is not a book, but in light of the very disturbing, to some of us, changes that are happening in the country right now, I wrote kind of a little meditation, a manifesto, which I sent out to my email people. And basically, I think this is a time where I tell people, if you are concerned about the future, if you're wrestling with despair and confusion, this is the time to be in community. If you're a writer, this is the time to write the book that you've been afraid to write. Write it now. Um, it's very important to be in community with other people now because we've never needed each other more than we need each other right now. And so I think it's important to, in this period where many of us see darkness, to bring light.
Well, I think that's always good. Um, because people do need the sense of community.
Mhm.
And oh, I want to appreciate someone who is helping tonight, one of our viewers, because Rhonda can't be on the show. And Stephanie Burnham, I see what you're doing and I appreciate you kind of standing in because Rhonda does some things on the background and she couldn't be on tonight. So the book just came out. So what have you like? What has been your experience so far going around? Have you done any book signings?
Yeah, yeah. I've done quite a few things locally here in the Washington, D.C. area. And I'm going to be at the Dallas Literary Festival, and I'm going to be at the Austin African American Book Festival in June. And
Okay.
yeah, yeah. And
Okay.
people, and I think one of the things I'm most proud of is starting the Hurston Wright Foundation, because for 35 years, we have been creating opportunities for Black writers, honoring them, offering workshops. And so if anybody out there in the audience wants to know more about what we offer, go to Hurston Wright, like Zora Neale Hurston and Richard Wright, hurstonwright.org. And as I say, we're going to be coming up with some major, major new exciting announcements this year as we go to the 35th anniversary in October.
Now, what made you start the foundation? What led you in that direction?
Well, I'm an activist. It's kind of in my blood. And around the time that I was teaching in the university in the early 90s, a lot of Black writers were getting published. And I was in an MFA program, a Master's of Fine Arts program, and I just wanted to do something to support this growing, growing community of Black writers. I mean, I had been supported by people like Audre Lorde, Toni Morrison, and now it was my turn to support. So we started with an annual award for college writers, and then we blossomed into a summer writers workshop, and then we blossomed into the Legacy Award. So we have reached Black writers globally, not just in this country, and we honor Black writers from the diaspora. And it makes a huge difference because when they come to our workshops and our programs, they're in community with Black writers. They don't have to explain what they're writing because everybody in the room gets it.
So, if someone wants to find out more about the summer workshop, they go to the website that you mentioned.
Yeah, Hurston Wright. And if they want to know more about what I'm doing, maritagolden.com.
Okay, so and if they want to sign up for some of your writing, how often do you offer the writing sessions?
I offer them probably once every 3 months. So if they get on my email list, they will get information about upcoming workshops.
And what all do you do in the workshops? Like, is it well, one, is it every week? Is that
Well, for
how?
example, with the Black women writing memoir, we started in October, and we meet twice a month. They have books to read. They read each other's work so that when we come together, we're discussing the book, the memoirs that we've read, and we discuss their writing. And these are often people who've already been writing or have a half of a manuscript, and they're very, very supportive of one another. So they learn about craft, they learn how to revise, they learn how to write a first draft. They learn by reading books that have already been published successfully. They learn what good writing is. And we discuss, one of the women said, I know how to read. I never knew how to read before this class. I never knew how to read a book.
Okay, I have one final question. What is different about memoir writing versus other writing? For example, fiction writing or even nonfiction research-based writing.
Well, in memoir, you are taking the material of your life and you are meditating on its meaning, but at the same time, you're trying to make it into a story that at its best almost reads like a novel. I will tell people that when you're writing a memoir, you want it to feel like a novel. When you're writing a novel, you want it to feel like a memoir. So the two forms have a lot in common, even though one is fictional, it includes a lot of your personal life and views, and the other is factual, but you will often use fictional aspects to tell the story. So there's overlay, but they are very different. One thing with a memoir is you want to tell people who are going to be in it that you're writing it.
If they're living.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
For your protection and your insurance. Yeah.
yeah, I don't think I'll ever write one. I don't want to say never, but um my other books that I write have me in them, even though they're not memoirs.
Mhm.
They have my point of view. They have some of my experiences. They even have people that I've encountered, but I
Mhm.
make them fictional characters if it's a novel. Or I make them an example, but I don't name them. But if a situational thing that is relevant to whatever the premise is of the book that I'm writing. So I was just, but I don't think I'll do the memoir thing. I don't know, because my life would really, really be an interesting story, but I don't know if I want people to know about it. So
Sure.
some things,
That's your right. You don't have
yeah.
to write a memoir. Yeah.
Yeah. Or you can leave some parts out. You don't have to tell everything. I'm sure. So anyway, Marita, you are always a blessing to everyone, in
Thank
terms
you,
of just
Gwen.
all that you sow into the literary community. And we really appreciate you being on the show, and show your book close to the camera one more time so people can see how to become a Black
And
writer.
it's not just for writers. It's for people who love to read. It's for people who want to read a story about a little girl who grew up and all of her dreams came true.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks again and
Thank
have a
you,
great
dear.
evening.
Thank you.
Okay. Good night. Now, those of you who watch the show regularly know that we partner with a few publishing houses, and we'll have their authors on from time to time. So tonight we have an author on from She Publishing LLC, which is based in Chicago, with Shanitha Burton. And Shanitha, She Publishing is also one of the sponsors of the National Black Book Festival and has been for the last few years. And Shanitha is was under the weather last time I spoke to her, so I'm hoping that she's doing better now. So we have the author that we have is Lashonder Demery, and I think I pronounced her name correctly, but if I didn't, she can correct me. And we welcome her to Black Authors Matter TV. We need to unmute.
Hey,
Okay. All right. Now I'm just now hearing your voice. So
how are you? How are you? Hi.
doing great. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm just glad to be here.
Okay. Now, do you have, I know you said your book is going to be released, but do you have a proof of it or anything that you can show yet?
Yes,
Proof copy.
actually, by the way, I'm Lashonder Demery. I think you said that before. You did pronounce my name correctly.
Okay.
And yes, so I'm currently doing a second edition of my book. The first edition has been released.
Okay. All right. So you're doing the second edition. So you're updating the book that you originally did. Is that what it is?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, we have updated it.
Okay. So can you show us either the original one, or do you have your book handy?
I do not
Okay.
have my book.
We'd like to show people the book just because if they're
I
going to,
could go and grab a book if you would like
how
for me
far
to.
away is it? Is it
It's
like,
not that far
okay,
away.
all right, well, yeah, so we can see the cover because we want
Okay.
people to know what it looks like.
Just give me 1 second here.
Okay, we will do. And in the meantime, I want to tell people about the Black Authors Matter. Are you on the Black Authors tonight? Well, yes, we are. Someone asked that. That's what this is. If you're watching Myra Cook, this is what this is. So anyway, okay, because I saw that your book online on Amazon, I believe. No, it was on She Publishing LLC's website.
Hmm?
And it's called, hold it up one more time, Tears of a Lost.
Here's a lost soul.
And is it a memoir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So yeah, our first guest had a memoir and you have a memoir.
Mm-hmm.
And now is this your first book or your only
Yes,
book, or
ma'am.
you're doing an updated version of it?
Mm-hmm.
Was your first edition through She Publishing?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so they're kind of re-releasing the book
Yes, ma'am.
for you under their umbrella.
Yes.
And so was that a picture of you on the cover? Show the cover one more time. I want to.
No, ma'am. This
Is
cover
that?
was created from
Oh,
a
okay. So that little girl, that's not you.
No, ma'am.
Okay. What about the person on the porch?
That's not me.
Okay. All right. I'm just asking questions that the audience will probably want to
Mhm.
know.
Yes, ma'am.
So why did you name the book the way you did?
Well, I think originally when I was thinking of a name, when you get ready to write a book, of course you got to name the book. So wanted the audience. First, I wanted to express my tears that were lost. The tears, my unheard tears, my unheard cries. And so not just my own, but I gave the opportunity to a couple of my family members to release theirs as well. And so when you're reading our stories, you're able to release, you're able to put yourself in a vulnerable place to be heard. And I think we all have that. So when you're reading Tears of a Lost Soul, you will encounter pain, but you also encounter healing. So Tears of a Lost Soul, it was just like something, it just hit me one day. And I wanted my voice to be heard. And
Okay.
so
So where does the book begin in terms of how the age you were when the story starts?
well, the book begins from when I was a baby girl.
Okay.
But when you originally open the book, you will see a few testimonials, which is my daughter and my granddaughters and my son. My son that's my living son. And then the book begins after them. Then the book begins with me, and it starts from when I was a little girl.
Okay. And were there some crucibles in your childhood that you feel like, well, that you shared to sort of set the stage for the story?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. So without giving away too much of the book, what's some of the things that you encountered that you want people to know that you brought forth in the book?
Well, being abandoned by my mother and growing up with abandonment issues, with mommy issues, being alone, being left alone, um, being raised by the streets. So a number of things like that. Then my mother was 12 years old when she was pregnant with me. So she had me at the age of 13. So she was a child herself. And so it does not only the downside of it's a downside, it's an upside, but it's realistic. And I guess the content, it gives you freedom to express yourself. It gives us freedom to actually tell our stories. So very, very vulnerable book, transparent book.
Hmm. Yeah, 13 is young to have a child.
Mm-hmm.
You really are a kid, just, thinking back on me being 13, um, trying to be a mother at 13. Back in the earlier parts of the 1900, people would sometimes even get married at 13 and 14. I had some aunts who I think they got married at 15, and it was rural areas that did that. But that was different because a lot of times those communities were tight knit, and the people that they ended up marrying were people they grew up with. So it wasn't. It was kind of expected in a way, because by the time they were 15 back then, they were really able to take care of a home, which is what the parameter was regarding it. But in a more modern era, having a child at 13, it normally would mean that there's some sort of abuse or something, that led to the pregnancy, um, or just a mistake, a useful mistake. That when you're young, you don't really understand the relationship between, you don't understand a lot of things. That's when you're that young, it's a lot you don't know. And so, just giving some information for the viewers about just what's in the book. Did your grandmother raise you, or an aunt, or were you
Yes.
raised?
Yes, my
Okay.
grandmother raised me and my mom. And then
Mm.
at some point, my great grandmother finished raising me.
Okay.
Yeah, before I got into the drugs, she was raising me when all of that took place, my great grandmother. So
Okay.
I went from my grandmother's home to my mother's home. And of course, things didn't work out there. And then I ended up with my great grandmother.
Okay. Yeah, those some of those grandmothers and great grandmothers, um I'll often have to step in. My husband was raised by his great grandmother. So, and our daughter is named after her. So, but and there were a lot of siblings in his situation. So his mother just couldn't take care of them all. And so they kind of ended up at different places. But they were all with family members, either grandma, he was with the great grandma, and then his mother too. But people do what they have to do. It's amazing. People, they figure out how to make situations work. They don't always work that well, you know. And a lot of times there's some things that are missing, you know,
Right.
in that scenario. So, you grew up fast. I think you said that yourself,
Yeah.
just from the situation. So, um, how did you end up coming to a position where you said, this is not for me? The streets are not, that's not where I want to be ultimately. Was there one thing, or was it a series of things, or did you have a mentor or a counselor? Or how did you make that change? Or
I didn't have a
was just a
mentor.
series of life just taught you some things and you made a decision?
Yeah, I think when I was arrested and I went to prison, um, yeah, I was arrested. So with me, I had a series of nervous breakdowns after losing my children. And I was just beat down. I had come to a place where I really, I was out of my mind. And so it was really rough. It was hard. And so one day I was arrested. I had been arrested several times, but this very last time that I was arrested, I got incarcerated. I got 15 years for that. So I was incarcerated a lot longer than the times before. And at that point, and when you asked me the question, like, what happened, right? So it was just a series. I lost my children. That well, I lost my mother, I lost my children. I gave birth to twin boys and a little girl. And in the midst of trying to raise them, I lost them. And so just loss after loss, blow after blow, blow after blow, it beat me down mentally, emotionally, physically. I was like wearing a size 1. I was really, really thin. I had got really, really dark skinned. And yeah, so I lost myself completely. And so that day when I was arrested, it saved my life. It saved my life. And during that time of incarceration, I began to feel hope again. And so that's kind of what happened. Just loss after loss after loss, and somehow lost myself, doing everything. So that's what brought me back to life. The arrest, because I didn't surrender, like turn myself in or give. I had gave up physically, mentally. I had lost humanity. Like, people, I wasn't living anymore. I was just existing.
Mhm.
And so, but I didn't, nothing happened like I turned myself in or went and got help or nothing like that. I was actually arrested by mistake. And so after that happened, and I'll tell about that, how I got arrested in the book. But so when I got arrested, that's what happened.
Okay, now when you say you lost your children, did they pass away or did you lose them to the system?
Well, the first time I lost them to the system, and the second time I lost a son. One of my sons murdered the other one.
Oh gosh, that's a
Yeah,
lot,
so yeah, it's a lot.
lot.
Um, so when I lost them one time, I lost them a second time. So I lost one,
Mhm.
I lost them to the state, and then the second time I lost one to life in prison and the other one to death.
And they were twins? Did you say
Yes.
they were twins?
Hmm.
Boy, how old were they when this happened?
29 years old.
Oh gosh. Well, She Publishing, which I'm thinking this is Shanita making a comment. She said, "You're very courageous to share a story like this one." And she says, "I am so very proud of you sharing your story." Yeah, Shanita, she has a way of getting people to tell their experiences, to share them. Um, and she's done that many times with different authors. Where she also works with people on fiction and other types of books, but she that's I think that's her gift, is getting people to share their stories,
Yeah,
and some of them are extremely challenging stories,
yeah,
because your situation sound it's a lot of it takes a lot of courage and resilience to be able to go through all of that and still be able to function, you know.
yeah,
So I can't imagine it. I've been through some different things, not anything like that. A lot of the stuff I've been through is related to having the passion to be in business. And I tell people, like, I haven't had a boss since I was 25 at all. I've been self-employed, but I have seen a whole lot, just being able to survive that without, and still make a decent living, and and live. So, but I've always had love from, you know, having people who love you is important. That helps to see you through. Now, with your great grandmother, how long did she live? And do you still have your grandmother in your life? Um, how about your family connections?
well, my great grandmother, she passed away when I was in my addiction. And both of them, my great-grandmother and my grandmother and my mother, all of them passed away when I was in my addiction. When I was suffering from mental health issues, and everything. So they're gone. And so at this point, I'm a mom now, I'm a mother now, I'm a grandmother now. And so I do have grandchildren, and I have my daughter, and I also have my son. He's incarcerated, but I still have him. And so I have a large family, but we don't see each other as much or nothing, but we know we're family. So pretty much I would say I have a good relationship with my family, with my grandchildren and my daughter, my immediate family. Yes.
Right. So do you live in Chicago area?
No, I live in Houston, Texas.
Oh, you know what? I looked on that. I looked at that. I forgot before the show, and I looked on it when your information. I said, "Wow, she's in Houston." So that's where I am. So yeah, well, the show. This is where the show is broadcast, so to speak, from Houston. And so you're on Kerr Street, which is what part of Houston? North, south, east, or west, or
This is Northeast Houston.
northeast Houston? Okay, because I'm on the northwest. I'm not FM 1960 area.
Okay.
Yeah. So are you from Houston originally?
No, ma'am. I'm from Shreveport, Louisiana.
Okay, all right. And then did your whole family relocate to Texas, or just you?
Just me.
Okay, all right.
Just me. Well, my daughter lives here now, and I do have family here in Houston, but my immediate family, they're still in Shreveport, Louisiana. You know, like your uncles and your
Yeah,
aunts,
yeah, your
stuff like
extended
that.
family.
Yeah, I have one uncle that lives here, and I have a host of cousins that live here in Houston. But I did move. I came here alone, and I just started a new life after I was released from prison.
Okay, so you were in prison in Louisiana? Is that where you?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
Hmm.
Now, Shanitha says she met you at our event,
Hmm.
and he at the National Black Book Festival. That's amazing how that ended up happening.
Yes, it
But
is.
but that happens every year when people come to our event. Some of them are not published. They're aspiring authors, or they just have a story they want to tell. And we always have several publishers at our event, and they're able to make connections. And see, I don't know about what transpired until like later on, like this. Like I don't hear about it when it's happening, but I know it happens because the fruit of it ends up manifesting like it has in your situation later on. That's when then we find out about it. So so your book was already published when you met uh Shanitha.
Yeah, it was already published when I met her, but I'm gonna tell you, it was explosive when I met her, and it was just a moment in time. It was very divine. Uh, when I met her and I had questions, she had answers, she had directions, she had instructions. She made me feel so welcome, and my heart was just warmed by her presence. And she's been there for me ever since. And they are my new family, the She family, and I'm just grateful. You know, I heard you say a few things about her as well, but this 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 is a remarkable time in my life to have my book second edition, my book being ran by the She Publishing Company, and they are very dedicated to what they do, and I'm actually getting the publishing experience with them, and it is amazing. It really is amazing. It makes it a lot easier, and they are so dedicated. She's truly dedicated.
She is, and um I can't remember exactly. Shanitha probably can. I meet so many people that I can't always remember exactly where I connected with somebody because I know so many people. But once we connected, it was a very strong connection, and it took off from there. And there hasn't been any looking back since then. I don't, but she's very easy to know. She has no pretense or airs, or she's not stuck up or arrogant or any of that. No pretensions or any of that. She's just totally open and friendly to everybody. And there are people that have stories to tell. They need someone like her, and she publishing. Um, Not everybody is going to go through the process with trying to get published with an agent and go that route, because some books are not really for that kind of market. It's really for people who want to tell their story. They want to get exposure, and they need more hands-on help.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one of the roles that the smaller publishers that we connect with play. We are connected with She Publishing, and then there's BK Royston Publishing out of Indiana, and then Black Odyssey Media is based in Dallas, and we have their authors on as well. So, what do you, when your book is slated to come out soon, next month, the second edition?
Yes.
So, do you have a book tour planned, or book signings, or a book launch? What do you have? What are you planning to do?
Well, Shanita is gonna plan everything.
That's always helpful to
Gonna,
have somebody
yeah,
else
she's
planning.
gonna plan
You can just
everything.
show up.
I do a lot. She's gonna plan everything, but I believe my book will be released probably the first or second week of March. The second edition will be released, and I'm excited about that. I'm excited about that like never before. And so I was able to slow down and really get into how this process really works. And so I'm just excited. I'm just excited. And I want my book to touch the hearts of the people and heal some people, because if God did it for me, he can do it for you. He can do it for them. Uh, he can do it. It can be done. I'm living
Yeah,
proof of that.
from what you experienced, just what you talked about, and the fact that you're still able to talk to us with a smile on your face is a testament to this inner strength and faith and all of that resilience. But you have to believe in something bigger than yourself a lot of times when you go through these kinds of things. And so, in our final minute or two, tell us what you want people to gain, that major message you want them to gain from reading your book, and then show your book cover again for one final time.
Okay, I can show it again. My
Okay,
book
Tears
cover,
of a Lost Soul.
Tears of a Lost Soul. And so my book is going to reach several audiences, people who have dealt with rape, abuse, abandonment, adoption, domestic violence, and substance abuse. So it hits different areas. Um, it's reaching a larger audience than just men. I mean, just women, but men as well. So yeah, if I were to say something to the audience, I, I think our family went through a lot. If the book could just get somebody to halt and stop and realize that, the direction you're going, it's not going to end up anywhere. It's just a testament to, recovery is possible, and so we do recover. No matter what it is, we do recover. And so in spite of what we're going through or what we've been through, recovery is possible. And you can still meet your goals. You can still live your dreams. You can still be happy, and so especially with women or men who suffer from mental health issues, that is big for me. Um, because at one point I didn't even know who I was. So it's possible to recover. So I just want to tell the world that recovery is possible, and I'm hoping my story touched many lives.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Lashonder, for being a guest on Black Authors Matter TV. And hopefully I'll run into you. Make sure you come to this year's festival in October, so we can meet face to face. We may have met at last year's, but I worked the whole time, so I don't. I see so many people I don't remember them all. So anyway, thank you so much for being a guest on the show, and God bless you for telling your story and for overcoming all the challenges that you had.
Well, thank you. So, do you like to be called Gwen or Miss Richardson?
No, Gwen, please, Gwen.
Gwen. Okay, because I never got chance to say hello, Gwen. I
Oh,
always
okay.
jump
Now
into it.
Gwen is fine.
Okay, so
I don't.
thank you, Gwen. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, for people who are young, like really young, I tell them you need to call me Miss Gwen because I'm old school like that. But people that are similar age, Gwen is fine. So thank you so much, and God bless you. Hope to see you in October.
All right, thank you. Talk to you later.
Okay, good night.
Bye-bye. Good night.
Okay, Lashonda had a very compelling story, and it's just amazing what people go through sometimes. We just can't, it's unimaginable things that people go through. And so that's why we always have to have a heart for people, compassion, empathy, because we don't know what people are going through. So we're going to go move forward with our next guest. She's been on the show before. She always comes on the same time of year, right when she's having her Black Child Book Week. So we wanted to have her back again. And I'm very excited to have Veronica Chapman on. I'm excited that you kept going after that first year because a lot of people quit. So, welcome back to Black Authors Matter TV.
Thank you so much for having me back.
Yeah,
Thank you
you
so
were
much.
committed because you kept going. A lot of people do one off. They just do something once, and especially if it's hard, uh, then
Well,
they kind of quit. They abandon it. But you kept going.
well, here's the thing. Black Children's Book Week will keep going even if I stop tomorrow. And that's the
Okay.
brilliance of it. Because for me, so Black Children's Book Week is something, it was a response to, I found that we were doing like so much uh, had so much collective sadness and sorrow and mourning online. And I just kept thinking, life has to be better than this. Like, we can't just spend our whole lives like just really sad about the world and the inhumanity of it all. I was like, we have to carve out time for joy. And I just thought about it because I am a children's book author. I said, I know the joy when Black children, especially, see my books that I wrote for them with characters who look like them. And I know that it's very affirming for them and they feel empowered by that. And what we really need in the world is people who believe in the power of their dreams. And what better tool to use than children's books, So for me, I had no intention of starting Black Children's Book Week. I am an ideas person. I am somebody who, I was like, okay, well, I'm on this earth for a reason. Let me do what I'm here to do. Like, that's just the kind of person I've always been. And one day I was just minding my business, and this idea, it was a divine inspiration. It really came out of, like, I really was doing nothing related to children's books at all. And I just remember Googling it and thinking, like, this has to be already established something, and it was not there. And so at that point it became my responsibility. So really what the responsibility is like when you're entrusted with a vision, you have to not be caught up in ego, especially if it's something bigger than you. And I think because Black Children's Book Week, when I presented it, I said, hey, people who are part of my network who follow, my Black baby books platform, I said, you all are authors like me, what our books can do. Majority Black authors follow, are part of the community. And I just said, we know the power. And we also know, especially those of us who self-publish, but also traditionally publish, but self-publishing is different because we have to find the illustrator, find the editor, find the printer That's a lot to overcome. And that's my background, right?
And
So
do the
that's a lot
marketing.
and do the marketing. And what is that? It's activism. So I said, well, who better to bring this idea to that, yes, was entrusted to me, but was meant to share to the community of, you know, Black authors, Black illustrators, and people who are really intentional about publishing Black books. And once I did that, people ran with it. So there's things happening all over the country. I have no direct hand in what's happening. So even if I stop today, it's going to keep going, which is a great thing, I think.
Okay, now tell people, for the audience who hasn't heard about it before and didn't see your other interviews last year or the year before, what is Black Children's Book Week?
So Black Children's Book Week is the global celebration of Black children and the power of their representation in children's books. Because I have traveled a lot and I've seen that every place where anti-Blackness is a global thing. And when I travel, I see the power. I've done book readings in other countries. I've seen the power of, even if we don't share the same language, kids are like, that looks like me on the page. And one thing I noticed is that because the internet is a place where you don't know where people are following you from. So this idea of the need to celebrate our children and affirm them using children's books, it resonates no matter where we are. So that's why you have people in Canada, hosting events. You have people historically, there have been events in like Nigeria, Ghana, Austria, wherever our children are, people who have become aware of it, they're like, oh, we have to do something. And there's a checklist. We try to make it easy. We try to make it easy and accessible. Some people host events, and that's amazing. And I've been tagged in events where there's like 16 Black authors at an event, and they have these gigantic events that are so inspiring. And then also another way to celebrate is to check out a Black book or request a Black book at your local library or shop Black bookstore. Last year was the first year we started capturing data. We found that people spent thousands of dollars at Black bookstores during Black Children's Book Week. That's one of the ways that they celebrate it. Another thing you could do, I tell people all the time, keep it simple. Host a Zoom reading for the kids in your family. Like if you didn't get a chance to have a family reunion, or if y'all haven't gotten together in a long time, invite the children in your family or your extended family to reading. Read them a Black book. So it's really accessible. You don't have to have a lot of money to celebrate it. There's nothing keeping you from doing what we're asking people to do during the week.
Okay, and when does it start and when does it end? What week is it?
Sure. It always starts the last Sunday in February.
Okay, so
And
that would be the 23rd.
It started on the 23rd, and this year it ends on March 1st.
Okay, so we're in the week right now.
We're in and if you search the hashtag like Black Children's Book Week on Instagram, you will see amazing things happening. And some people have added, if you follow Black Children's Book Week on Instagram, some people have added us as collaborators, so you can see if we're sharing what they're doing. So if you even look on our page, you'll be able to follow the people who are organizing and see like what's going on. And then on our website, which you can find at blackchildrensbookweek.org, there's a button. The first button says how to celebrate. And if you click on that button, you'll get to a couple places. One, you can register for events, and we have a collaborative calendar on our website. So everyone doesn't register. Some people, when they find out about it, they act real quick. They're like, okay, I got to get something, but they may not have time to register it. But there are events that people have registered on the calendar. So you can search by state, and you can see what's going on in your state. Also, you can download the celebration checklist, which has all the ways that you can celebrate. One other thing that I don't even know if I mentioned as much last year, and people fuss at me all the time, is that when I launched Black Children's Book Week, I also launched a virtual museum called the Black Children's Book Museum. And that is where we house the sponsors of Black Children's Book Week. So because I got the idea in September and it launched in February, it's not like I didn't have money set aside to launch something like this. There's like technology behind it, and there's all this stuff that had to be registered. And I remember people kept saying, like, how can we help you? How can we what can we pay for? Like, how do we sponsor? And I was just like, okay, like, let me
come up with something.
I had to come up with something. And you know what? I'm so grateful. I came up with something that people love. It is gorgeous. It is called the Black Children's Book Museum. If you go to the same tab, like how to celebrate, one of the options is to visit the Black Children's Book Museum. It's located in the metaverse. So basically you can create an avatar and it looks like you're walking through the museum. So you'll see like the books of the people who sponsored Black Children's Book Week this year. And there's also a wall dedicated to people who donated and their names are on the wall. And it's shoppable. So that means that as you're walking through the museum, you can click on an image and you can learn more about like the synopsis of the book, and you can click view, and that takes you to the shopping page that the author provided us at the point of when they submitted their content. And it is really, really beautiful. And I'm not saying that because I designed it. I'm saying that because people are, I mean, it is beautiful, but the feedback has been so cool. Kids are like really loving it. And if you have kids who are like really into technology and they have these like VR glasses, they're like these really giant, I don't have any, but it really makes you feel like you've seen them, right? Mm-hmm. It really makes you feel like you're inside the museum. And I feel like I need to go buy some just to have that experience. Because for me, because for everyone else, you can click on the museum in our website and it'll take you to the desktop. Or, you know, if you're it take you to the website where you can go visit it if you're on a desktop or a laptop. Alternatively, if you want to look on a mobile device, the platform that it's on has an app. It's free to download, and you can also visit the museum on your cell phone or iPad.
Now, what's your background? What like led you on this path to where you ended up being the creator of the Black Children's Book Week?
Well, I'm an ideas person. So I have a company called Box Out, which means to think outside the box to design creative solutions for social change. And for that means it's kind of really simple. Like, you know how your lived experience determines a lot of like the ideas you may come up with. So if you're coming up with ideas that are authentic, right? So sometimes we see things that are inauthentic and you're like, why are you pretending like you're that person when you're not? And then you feel like it's inauthentic and you just like, okay, whatever. But otherwise, if you're creating from the authentic space, it's usually that something happens in my case, something happens and then I get an idea to address it. So I had no aspirations of being a children's book writer. What happened was I was very creative when I was at Spelman. I went to Spelman undergrad. I started a chapter of organization that had design creative ways to teach children about entrepreneurship. And from that experience, I said, okay, I know I don't want to be a teacher in a school, but I love finding creative ways to get kids excited about learning different things. And so I kind of just like started doing that. I went to grad school in Boston. I created this company when I was doing educational workshops for teenagers, and I would go to like after school programs and libraries, and I would create really fun, dynamic workshops. So like, even though it was after school, the kids would be so captivated by the concepts. I call it like spoonful of sugar. Like they'd be learning, but they'd be having fun, so they didn't mind. So after like having to travel through traffic to get to the libraries and after school programs, it became like unsustainable, energetically unsustainable. So I said, well, how can I reach kids at an earlier age to make sure? So everything builds off of everything else. How can I reach kids at an earlier age to make sure they believe in themselves? So I said, aha, I can write a children's book that makes children believe in themselves. So then I published a book called I Know I Can. And that did really, really well. And it was really impactful. And people started writing and saying like, oh my gosh, I don't know what you put in this book, but my kid, I used to think they had high self-esteem. Now I can't do nothing with them. I was like, good. So then I started doing that. When I was promoting my book, I Know I Can, people started asking me like, hey, how do I find other books with Black characters? And at that time, there weren't a lot of platforms around to discover books with Black characters. There are way more now, thank goodness, way more. But at that time, they weren't. And so then I created a platform called Black Baby Books to make it easier to discover children's books with Black characters. I started on social media, and then I built a website to just have a space of my own because we don't own these social media sites. And so, you know, and the platform kept growing and people kept messaging me like, oh, I'm so glad I can find stuff in my class. I can find stuff for my kids. And then really like, in, 2020, when, we're witnessing all these people being murdered, at the hands of police, and then people are having an awakening that lasted very long, but they had an awakening for a moment. Um, all these people started following Black baby books, and I was like, this is awkward because like, who are these people? I don't know. It was just like all of a sudden, next thing I knew, I went from like 80,000 followers to like 120,000 followers, and it was kind of strange. And and a lot of people like to talk about how many followers they have, and that's great. I'm more interested in what I can do with followers. So I was like, okay, well, what more can I do? So I have this platform now, and I said, everybody's sad online and everyone's in mourning and witnessing death, and it's just terrible. And I said, we just need something joyful. And that's when I was, like I said, I was sitting at my desk one day and the idea for Black Children's Book Week came up. And I said, that's what I could do with the followers. This community that's part of my community, like authors and illustrators. I said, I can help mobilize us to add some joy into this atmosphere to honor the children, our children, and our inner children. Because I also learned by publishing a book that adults would buy my book and they'd be like, oh, I'm going to give it to my cousin. Then they read it. They're like, yeah, I'm keeping this one. I'll have to get another cousin. So another book for my cousin. So I just remember like that first year I gave, like I had a town hall that I hosted online and I invited like 400 people came. And I said, hey, I gave a whole presentation, like, this is the vision that I have. This is the idea. These are the people who are helping me like, spread the word. And while I was presenting, my sister who was in attendance, she said, girl, like everybody in the comments they were organizing, they were like, who's in Virginia? Who's in Maryland? Who's in Georgia? Who's in, LA? And that's what happened. And then the other great thing that's come out of Black Children's Book Week, the feedback that we've gotten is that authors are building community and they're meeting each other, they're working together, they're sharing resources. So that's why now you have these Black Children's Book Week events happening all over, and there's like 20 authors together. And you know what else happened? See, this is why we have to act on our ideas and our visions. Like, if you're sitting on an idea, don't sit on it any longer. Act on it right now. You know what else happened since Black Children's Book Week? There have been organizations that have like formed in certain places to provide more events in their communities around literacy and Black children's books. There's one in DC, there's one in Oklahoma, there's one in I think they're in Kentucky, like all these organizations. And a lot of these people met at the event that I initially had, or they've met like since then. And a lot of them started organizing around Black Children's Book Week. And then they decided like, hey, let me start something that extends beyond the week. And like, how great is that? So that's one of my favorite things, I think.
Yeah, one thing about the net is, and this is something that was apparent to us early on. We started our business, which our overall umbrella company that we started first is cushcity.com.
Mm-hmm.
And we started that in December of 98. The net was just taking off. Well, that's how our company is 25 years old. Well, 26 years old. And
wow, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, we started, and it was a divinely inspired idea. I was at church, at a workshop, and the idea hit me. I went home and told my husband, and one thing that we were good at as a couple is the division of labor. Some people aren't able to do that, but my husband is tech, and so I'm more on the marketing administrative, the organizing. So we decided, we had a game plan, and in 6 weeks our website was up.
See, that's amazing.
6 weeks.
That's what I'm looking for.
With no money. I mean, no funding, none of that. We had something we were already doing, and we just used those same resources. We were in a different business, but we since had shut that down and did Cush City. But the first order we got, and this is why I'm saying the global aspect of the net was apparent early on, because the first order we got was from Alabama. I remember that because that was like, wow, we're reaching people all over. And Of course, in the early days of the internet, we didn't have all the stuff we have now. We didn't have Zoom and all the
Mm-hmm.
apps, and it's a lot has changed. But the concept of it being global
Mm-hmm.
it has been sustained the entire time. Of course, the way you access it, because when we first started, the dial-up was what people used to go online.
Yes. I remember. I'm the age of the dial-up. I think I'm
Okay,
probably like the first generation that had the "You Got Mail." Like that was my generation, born in
okay,
the '80s. Yeah.
okay. so, and then it went. I think we had the dial-up. Then we had a T1. I think it was the T1 next, and then it was something else that started with a D. Anyway, that's the Wi-Fi took over. So it keeps changing and evolving, and then the cell phone wasn't a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Everything evolved, and then everything became part of the cell phone. But
Yep.
people who don't know the trajectory of it, how the whole thing evolved, it started with very minimal tech. And now on your phone, you can basically do everything. I don't like doing everything on my phone
Right.
because I
Right.
don't like the small screen. I'd rather be on a laptop. Uh, you know, I do quick things on my phone, checking things.
Mm-hmm.
And even when I'm like commenting on something, because I'm a fast typist, but I need a keyboard. I can't
Mm-hmm.
do it on my phone. But you have to be willing, and I say all that to say, when you get an idea, especially if you believe it's divinely inspired, you have to act on it.
So true.
And you can't just sit on it, because if it's divine, it'll work. And we're
Absolutely.
still here.
Absolutely.
So,
And everything you need will be provided. You may not get everything you
yes,
want. Like this
yes.
multi-platform grants, they're like, yeah, no. I'm like, okay, well, whatever. My people will take care of it. Don't worry about it. I'll get it. I'm like, I'll get it some way.
That's true. And in the early days, I don't know if you even remember some of the early companies. Um, and I'll say this is in the late 90s, early 2000s. So there were a lot of Black startups that were getting traction. There was Black Planet,
Yep.
Black Voices, there was Net Noir, and there was a Black Tech convention or conference called Moby. It was
I've never heard
MOBE.
of
I
that.
forgot what it stood for. The
Hmm.
first year it was in Chicago, and then it was in LA. But I went to them, and I met all those people. Yeah, I met all the people who started those companies. And a lot of those companies, they got a lot of money. They're gone now. A
Yeah.
lot of the
Yeah.
ones that got a lot of money, they went through all that money, but they really didn't have a plan to survive. And you have to also be willing to pivot. You have
Hmm.
to pivot with where things are going. But I met all those people. Some of them, the only one that's still around is Black News. I don't know if you're
Yep.
familiar with Black News. Dante
I
Lee. I
am.
met him
Yep.
at Moby in the early 2000s, and he's one of the only ones that's left still standing. And at that time, it was kind of funny. AOL was the big dog.
Hmm.
And so this lady who was there, because we all, stood up and said who we were. And she stood up and she said, I'm so and so with AOL. And she just sat down because AOL was the big dog. So she didn't have
Mm.
to elaborate. now,
Right. Right.
now AOL is like an afterthought, but it
Right.
was back then. It was the big dog. It was you know,
It got
it's
a whole movie. That movie You've Got
yeah,
Mail. They used the whole
yeah. It's
one of my
it,
favorite movies.
it was a real. I like that movie too. It's cute.
It's so good. It's so relaxing too. I love it
It
because it's like it's oh my goodness. It's narrated. So it's like really relaxing, soothing to me at least to hear a I like narrated movies, but whatever.
oh, okay, but yeah, yeah, the whole You've Got Mail. I never had AOL, so I never.
Really?
We always had our company email.
Oh, okay,
So
okay.
I never had AOL, um, but they were the big dog back then. So what do you hope to do with the Black Children's Book Week, like going forward? Do you just basically want to be consistent with what you've been doing all along, or do you have some other place you want to take it, or
Well, there's kind of like one other key aspect of Black Children's Book Week that I didn't mention is that my intention was always so back up because an ideas person. I have participated in a lot of pitch competitions, and for other ideas, I've won like thousands of dollars for ideas and stuff like that. And so when I launched Black Children's Book Week, just knowing what it costs Black independent authors to publish our books, I said, I know that like winning $500 would be a good amount of change for an author. If they could say they have a vending event, that could pay for the books for the vending event, that could pay for a flight to a vending event, that could pay for a couple tables. And so that was my intention and launch. Another intention of launching Black Children's Book Week is using part of the proceeds to be able to give back to Black authors. And this year, after this year, and we, as in the Black Children's Book Week sponsors and donors, will have invested $10,000 into Black authors. After this year, it would be $10,000, and that's without like corporate funding. This is like it's like 90% Black folks funding Black Children's Book Week, and then there are a couple of small publishers. Shout out to Nosy Crow, that's one of them, who like also joined in the celebration. But most of the money is coming from our community and going back to our community. And the other cool thing is that 7 of the authors who have won are little kids, so like they're youth authors. So I think one thing I would like to grow that impact. I would love to be able to give more. It will take strategic partnerships to be able to continue to do that. But you can't partner with everybody because, as we're seeing now, like people say they're invested in you, and then let somebody get elected, and they're like, oh, we're getting rid of all the Black businesses we've been working with. So we can't just partner with anybody. It has to be people who are really aligned and have integrity. And integrity is something that's so important. And a lot of people out here are displaying a lot of it. So we got to make sure we find these people with integrity to invest in that part of Black Children's Book Week and in the growth of it. And the only other thing I'm currently contemplating is kind of like a midpoint event. So I don't want to ever post anything like during the week because the magic of Black Children's Book Week is people taking action within their community. So it wouldn't make sense for me to be like, I'm going to host a giant event during Black Children's Book Week because people were trying to get there, and that would ruin, I think, the celebration. But I do have a really great idea. This is an idea that I had like before we were quarantined, but I kind of saved it. And it's kind of the excitement and action of a field day that kids had in school. Like back in the day, we had field day, and it was like the day we were so excited to go because we played games and we did all this stuff. And we were like, yes, no school, we're at school, but it's not school. So I have a vision that merges the excitement and action-oriented things of a field day with literacy and teaching the adults of our children how to create literate homes. So it's kind of like getting kids so excited about reading that they're begging for books, but finding a creative way to do it. And that is what I'm currently dreaming up. This kind of event would happen in between Black Children's Book Week, but it could also be a time where people who are celebrating could gather and build relationships or things like that. And I don't know yet if it's going to be in like one place, if I'm going to create the idea, implement it, and then share it with other people to implement it in their communities. I'm not that far yet, but the vision keeps sticking with me. So now I feel like I have to do it. So we'll see. So that's what I'm thinking about right now. Like, what can we do in between the weeks? But because I have been to like a lot of, I've vended at book fairs, and those are fabulous, especially, people like you who like invest in getting people at the venue. Because sometimes as an author, you spend all this money being a book fair and the people didn't invest in marketing. So it's kind of like you're selling to other authors, so like that's one thing I'm trying to avoid. I don't want to do that. I kind of wanted to do something like more like action oriented, like games, but related to literacy. But also have a space where like authors can of course, like do readings, but it won't be like the key focus. It'd be more like creating literacy related games that will make kids feel like they're playing, and they are, but they're
But
also
they're
learning.
learning. Okay.
Yeah. I'm really
I,
good at that. I'm really good
yeah,
at
it's
getting
important.
kids
It's
psyched up.
important because not every kid is just going to read for the sake of reading.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to have something else, some other angle to pull them in. Well,
Yeah.
Veronica, we're at the end of
And I
our
need, and I,
time.
oh, sorry, I was going to say, and I need to make it to your, because you're in the fall, right? You have
Yes,
your
we're in
event in the fall.
October, October 23rd through the 25th this year. So,
23rd to 25th.
you
Yeah,
know, just put it on your.
that's my birthday month.
Okay, well, maybe you can give yourself a birthday present.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, thank you so much for coming back, and we're happy to continue to let people know about what you're doing with Black Children's Book Week. I'm sure we'll have you back next year, and
Oh, thank you.
yeah, it's
Thank you so
important.
much.
It's important.
Thank you.
So, thank you again, and have a great evening.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm sorry I'm talking your ear off. All right.
Oh no, that's what it's for.
All right.
Okay,
All right.
have a
Thank
great
you.
night.
Bye, you too.
For those who didn't join us at the top of the show, as I mentioned, Rhonda is under the weather, so that's why she's not here tonight. But we appreciate Stephanie Burnham. She has been doing an amazing job doing some of the back end things that Rhonda does with putting the links for the websites that the authors or the guests have. She's putting it in the chat so that people can access the information. So our final guest is someone who watches the show. I don't know if she watches it every week, but she's on often, and she has her own podcast, literary podcast, and she's an author. So I said we need to have Angela on the show. So Angela Anderson, welcome to Black Authors Matter TV as a guest.
Thank you so much. And Gwen, just know that I am super fangirling right now that I get to hang out with you on tonight. So thank you so much. It was an honor. I'm just really excited.
Well, we're excited to have you because it's good to hear from the people who are actually watching the show. We've been doing this it'll be 5 years this July.
Wow.
We've been doing this. And I give people some of our milestones. We celebrated our 200th show a few weeks ago.
Wow.
We've celebrated our 700th guest a few months ago.
Awesome.
So we're going toward 800 now. We probably won't, because these are all individual guests, not interviews. So we do repeat guests. A lot of times the authors who have a new book out, we'll have them back. And like we just had Veronica back. So we don't count them. We only count them once. So
Okay.
if they've been on the show 3 times, they still only get counted once. So it's actually over 700 individual people. And
Wow.
so it's a lot of ground we've covered. We hope we've impacted people's book sales. They've told us that we have. And most of the time when somebody has a new book coming out, even if it's months in advance, they will let us know they have.
I love that. Well, I know even for me watching you guys show, there have been authors that are new to me authors. I'm like, oh, and I'll go one click or go get the book or what have you too. So I am so appreciative of you guys' show.
Yeah, and I learned about new authors myself that I wouldn't probably know about if not for the show. And I buy the book. Sometimes I read them. Sometimes I don't get to them. Sometimes I end up giving them away on the show. So it's all good though. It's all because I do buy the book, and then I buy them through our distributor. So I don't. The only time I buy books on Amazon is because I get a discount through our distributor. So I only buy on Amazon if that's the only place I can get it. Some people only do their books through Amazon. They don't make them available through the distributor. So I'm not able to do that. But anyway, I'm glad you came on the show. And before we get into your career, your books and your podcast and all that, then I read that you do a podcast with 2 other authors on Fridays. I said, God bless you for that.
Fun Friday with the Fun Friday crew, Vanessa Riley and Pat Simmons.
Yeah,
oh my God, Gwen. If you have never tapped in on a Friday at it's 6 o'clock in Eastern Standard Time, 5 o'clock Central Standard Time, it is 30 minutes of unscripted, laugh out loud fun, and I get to hang out with Vanessa Riley and Pat Simmons. Oh my goodness!
Okay, because I didn't know about that. I knew about your podcast, but I didn't
Yeah.
know about this Friday thing. And normally that's no, well, so I might be able to tune in a Friday here or there.
But
We
Gwen,
have
feel free to
Friday.
watch the replay. You can always go back and
Oh,
watch
okay.
the
So the
replay.
replay is on. Where is the replay?
The replay is on YouTube. Our YouTube channel is Fun Friday with the Girls. So you can
Okay.
subscribe to our YouTube channel, or you can watch it on Facebook on what is it? Sisters with Books, the Sister with Books page,
Okay.
as well. Mhm.
Okay, so I'll do that if I'm not able to tune in live. So, one, I wanted to find out, how did you hear about this show?
Again, just through, I think it was on Facebook, and it happened to be probably one of the authors that I follow. They had announced, hey, I'm going to be on this show. And so
Okay.
in support, I love supporting authors. I was like, okay, let me tune in and let me watch. And then, of course, by doing that, I was like, oh, this is like a every Tuesday thing. And again, when other individuals promote and I see, I'm like, okay, let me hop over there and see. I know sometimes on Tuesdays, like I have a show on Tuesdays, so I'll kind of pop in
that.
after what have you. Look like today.
Yeah, I saw that. Now you're on Tuesdays and Thursdays, right?
Yes.
Now, how long is it for?
It's 30 minutes. It's an author interview show. It's live. Generally, if an author has like a new release or a book that has been out, and they're just kind of, talking about it or what have you, they have that one. But I also have Angela's Literary Tea, which is an hour-long live book discussion, which is myself, the author. Then I'll pull another book nerd again, and we'll talk about the book with the author. We'll have conversations with the audience or what have you too. But the Literary Cafe it's a 30-minute author interview.
Oh, okay. So that's kind of in and out. 2 hours is more than an ocean.
Yeah.
And when we first started the show, we had no idea where it was going to go, because we started it during COVID. It was July of 2020. And we had no idea we would still be doing the show. We just said we need to do something to keep the message out there, because we couldn't do the festival. We couldn't do an in-person festival.
Okay.
We did virtual. And then it just kept going. It just kept evolving. And like I say, we have a dedicated audience. I need to drink some water. You know how sometimes you get like something in your throat. Especially after talking for 2 hours. And
Right.
Ron is not on, like, to give me a break in between, so I had to do all the talking. I know when we did the book festival virtually, when COVID, we did it 2.5 days virtually in 2020 and 2021. I talked for 2.5 days.
Wow.
Because Rhonda was only on a little bit. I talked through that whole thing for 2.5 days. When it was over, I was exhausted. People think maybe because you're sitting but you're talking, and you're also engaging. Your brain is engaging, and you have to be thinking and, reacting and responding and tuning into the person that you're talking to. It requires energy. I mean, it really does. As you know, 30 minutes that's one of our guests. Like, right. But now, when did you start doing your podcast?
So the Fun Friday with the girls, we actually started that during the pandemic as well. And the funny thing about it is that we kind of like started it because we are also members of the Christian Book Lovers Retreat. We're on the board. And so we at that time, when COVID happened, it was determined that, we would have to do our conference or our retreat. It would have to be virtual, that, we weren't going to be able to do it in person. So we was like, what is something that we can kind of help keep people's morale up and stuff like that? So for the Christian Book Lovers Retreat, we did these bingo nights, virtual bingo or what have you. It was book covers of authors, and we had certain authors that would be on, and it was just a lot of fun. So to help promote it, myself, Pat, and Vanessa Riley, we would come on a Friday, like before the event. We would come on at lunchtime to promote that event. Well, after the event, the people was like, well, where's Fun Friday? Like, they was asking for it. So we literally started it every Friday at 12 o'clock. We used to do noontime, but remember, once the pandemic kind of like calmed down or what have you, we ended up changing it to 6 o'clock. But the people was asking for it. And it was so funny because literally it's unscripted, laugh out loud fun. You put the three of us together and it's hilarious. But then with Angela's Literary Cafe and Angela's Literary Tea, I actually, I would do in-person events. And of course, just like everybody else, when the whole country shut down, it was just like, well, nobody's doing in-person events. And I promise you, Gwen, it was like the Lord put in my spirit. And he was like, well, why can't you do it online? Why can't you still reach these authors and build that connection between authors and readers, but do it virtually? And so, again, it was like the Lord, he dropped the first couple of authors into my spirit, like who to reach out to. I kind of had the concept of, I wanted to ask them questions. I do like a this or that. Or what have you. And then for me, Gwen, I love books. If you don't know anything about me, it started early in elementary school. I was that girl that I loved library day. I mean, I was that book nerd that I enjoyed going to the library. And even if it wasn't a library day for my class, I would ask for a pass to go to the library to check out all these books. I mean, or what have you. So for me to be able to do a show where I can actually help authors and readers to bond and grow their connection, it was like a no-brainer.
Okay. Well, everybody has a different motivator, but dedication and professionalism is what allows things to continue. Because I've seen some things that just some people do, and people have different approaches, different methods, different personalities, but I always like to keep everything classy. As far as, we don't use profanity on this show. I know it's out there everywhere, but we don't do that. So, I try to keep it at a certain place. Level. Just,
because not only that, Gwen, I mean, you're representing yourself, and so not only you're representing yourself, you're representing your brand, all of that stuff. So I get it.
Yes. So you're also an author yourself.
Yeah.
So you have a new book out, and tell us about that.
My new book is The Power of I Am, 21 Days of Affirming You. And I'm sure you are aware, Gwen, it takes about 21 days to form a habit. And I'm a pretty positive person. If you follow me on Facebook or what have you, I just about every morning or every day, I'm going to give you some type of positivity or what have you. So no negativity on my page or whatever. But this particular book is definitely set to just empower others, to remind people to show up for themselves, to affirm yourself and know that it's okay. The other is a self-care. It's one of those things that even though, within the last couple of years, it's becoming a little more popular and becoming the norm, but the importance of us taking care of ourselves is so important. And so this book, 21 Days of Affirming You, it just helps you to kind of get into the habit of affirming yourself, being into a positive light at the beginning of the day, or what have you. And usually by the time if you take it through the 21 days, you would have formed a habit of showing up for yourself.
Okay. Now, do you have a copy of the book?
I do. I kind of got my background blurred out, so I don't know if you can see it. Let me see if I can. Let me take my the blurred background away, and then you'll be able to see it a little better. Let's see.
Is it under the video thing?
I think it's under. You know what? You're right.
Yeah, because I have a green screen, so
there we go.
Okay, so now it shows, and that's you on the cover.
The Power by Am, 21 Days of Affirming You, and it was, it was a process because in addition to being an author, I usually do the stuff on the back end. Like I edit books. I help authors with marketing. I teach workshops. I'm a speaker, all these things. But to be able to do like your own book, it's like, wow, you're doing the process that you teach and train others to do.
Yeah, it's a different side of your brain to promote
Yeah.
your own work.
Yeah.
It's different. I'm going to be speaking at a breakfast in a couple of weeks, and it's a big book club. They do an annual event, but they had kind of gotten out of the habit. And I only spoke there once before, and when I spoke there, it was 11 years ago, and I only had 2 books. So now I have 15 books. So I have a lot more to talk about when I go. But talking about myself is different from promoting other people.
Yeah.
That
is so true, Gwen.
Easier to talk about other people. Oh, some people are very self-absorbed, but for me, it's easier to talk about other people.
It is.
But I have a lot that I can share with them just in terms of just the journey of producing 15 books. When I wrote my first book, it came out in December of 2007. I had no concept that I would do any other books. I thought this was going to be my one book. Although I've been a writer, well, I'm like you, avid reader since a kid, self-taught reader at 4, and I was always reading a book. I'm still always reading a book. That is me forever. I always am reading a book. Some book is on my coffee table that I'm reading. And so I don't finish them all. I do have DNFs. I think I learn about DNFs on your page.
We talked about that. I think we had a guest on here, and somehow we got into it. And I was like, "Yeah, I will DNF a book." I don't do it a lot, but Gwen, think about it. There is too many good books out here to be struggling to get through a book. But one of the things now I will do this, Gwen. Okay. Now sometimes I'll DNF a book, and I may come back and pick it up, and I have found that when I picked it back up, I was able to finish it. Maybe it just wasn't its time at that time, but then there's other DNF books that it was final. It was just like, this is it for that. Okay.
The one thing that's a non-starter for me, well, non-starter, I do start, but that will quickly become a DNF is a book that's not edited. Oh, I just won't waste my time, because you're wasting my time because you didn't take the time to get somebody to edit your work. And I'm not going to be struggling through incorrect words. It's not punctuation. It's just bad editing, bad grammar, wrong words. They did. I read one book where I didn't get, it was a DNF. Somebody in our book club recommended it. Of course, I would never say the book. But in the book, the person clearly did a find and replace. And every place that it was supposed to be how did you do something? It was have did you do it? Oh. Through the entire book.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So I'm not gonna finish. I'm not gonna wait. You're wasting my time. My reading time is valuable. I want to be reading something good. Now, some books, as you know, when you do a lot of reading, some books start slow.
Yeah.
And they build up. Some books start fast and run out of gas. They start off and then like, okay, they just wanted to try to hook you at the beginning, but they didn't think through the rest of the story.
Right.
So there are all kinds. And some books are too long. They could be a good book. They probably would be a better book if they were 50 to 75 pages shorter.
Yeah, that could be sometimes. Or if it was like, what, maybe make it a series.
Yeah, yeah, make it 2 books.
But Gwen, but the best books are if it's a long book that if it's so good that
Yes,
you don't even you
yes,
forget.
yes. You forget that it's long. That's the
Forget
best
that
book.
it's yeah.
A 400 to 500 page book that is so good
You
that you
forget. You be like,
don't
this
you
book's
don't
so
even
good.
realize how long it is.
Yeah.
That is the great book. And some of my most favorite books of all time are long books. They
Yeah.
all were long books. Now, since you do your literary cafe and you do stuff, and we're going to go back to, I want to talk about your book a little bit more again.
Okay.
But I'm interested. If you name 3 books that you really, really liked, that you read.
Wow. Okay. Because Gwen, I read a lot. Okay,
Off the
3.
cuff. I know.
Okay. I'm gonna do this. I'll try to do one current and I'll try to do one like in between and one. Oh my goodness. And this book is coming out next month.
So it's not out yet.
Gwen, The Filling Station by Vanessa Miller.
Okay.
She put her foot in it, her leg, her toe, her thigh. Vanessa Miller has done it. I mean, when I read The Filling Station, I received an early copy.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. I still have a book hangover and I think I read it like November, December-ish. I can't wait for people to get their hands on this story. She did amazing job talking about Black Wall Street, the Tulsa massacre. I mean, she just really brought that story to life. So I'm still like a book hangover over that one and I'm really excited about it coming. It comes next month.
She's going to
Another
be
book that
on the
I
show.
read recently that was really good, that it was a new author to me, was Mr. Jimmy from Around the Way by Jeffrey Blunt.
You know what? You named the book. Okay. I haven't read it yet, but he was on the show.
Uh-huh.
Our book club picked it for our April book, I think.
Uh-huh.
So I have the book because I thought I was intrigued. I haven't read it yet because I wanted to read it closer to the meeting.
Gwen. Oh,
so,
let me
okay,
know when you start reading it.
Okay.
I mean, when you say a book with all the feels, a book that you will be talking to the characters. I mean, there were some characters in there where I was side-eyed and I was literally having full-blown conversations with these characters in this book.
Okay.
And
now
then
the filling station, she's going to be on the show. Vanessa's going to be on the show to discuss it in a couple of weeks. I forgot what date, but coming up, she's going to be on the show. So, and I already have it in my my shopping cart. So when it comes out, I'll get a copy as soon as it comes out. So okay, those 2 I know about.
Two.
So
and then I would have to say, oh man, okay, so it's a tie. These next 2, so look, I'm gonna slip a 4th one in there. But the 3rd one would be Untethered by Angela Jackson Brown. Okay. Oh my goodness!
All right, I have that
she
in
was
my
on the show. I saw her
2D.
interview with you guys.
Okay.
Oh my goodness, Untethered was just amazing. I just really, really enjoyed that book. So that would be like 3. Well, I guess they were all kind of like recent books that I have read. And then I guess if I can go like way back in the day, do you remember What You Owe Me by B.B. Moore Campbell? What You Owe Me?
Yeah, but
that would be one that's like back in the day that was just a book that I would just always have a special place. And anything J. California Cooper. Anything.
Yeah. Oh, I love J. Okay, so we have some of the same interests. Because one of my best books, I have a top 20 list of all time.
Ooh.
And In the Wake of the Wind is on my top by J. California Cooper is in my top 20.
I like that. Top 20 of all times. I like that.
Time. Now I did it 3 years ago. So I have to probably update it to include some books that have come out since then. But that book it's in my top. So we like some of the same stuff. Now, have you read? I'm gonna name 2 books to see if you read either one of these. Freeman by Leonard Pitts.
No.
Oh my God.
Is that one I need to add to the list?
Oh my God. And that's one of the ones that's 400 to 500 pages, but it is an amazing book. It's set in slavery, right after slavery and Reconstruction. but
Okay.
it's about a man who is trying to find his wife
Oh, wow.
after slavery,
Uh-huh.
and he walks 1,000 miles
Wow.
to find his wife.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's an amazing book. So anyway, we like some of the same stuff. I have to share notes with you if you read. I have Untethered on my coffee table because I normally
Okay.
have a stack of like 3 books on my coffee table, and then I have another stack of 10 that I haven't gotten to yet. So especially the newer titles. So, but this Untethered is there on my list of books to read. It is.
What,
So
Gwen, do you read? One thing that helps me is I read in all 3 formats. Not necessarily the book in all 3 formats. Now, some books I do own in all the formats, what have you. But I got an audio book going. I may have a print book I'm reading. I have my Kindle, which is my best friend. So that
okay.
definitely kind of
Okay. See,
helped me.
I was doing the Kindle. I stopped.
Mm-hmm.
I do books now. And
Uh-huh.
I haven't gotten into the audio books. I tried to read one book on audio and it just kept putting me to sleep. So I think it has to be the right book for
Yeah.
me
Right
to,
narrator, right
yeah,
book.
right book, right narrator.
Mm-hmm.
I've only tried it once, so we'll see. Rhonda swears by it, but I've
Gwen,
only tried it
it's
that one
next
time.
level. It's next level. If
I
you
know, but
find the
I
right
like actual
book.
reading. I like actual reading. That's the thing. I like
But
reading.
Gwen, as a book nerd again, audiobooks is totally reading. It's totally reading. And I'm gonna
Okay,
stand on that heel.
I need to find the right book because it didn't work for me.
Gotcha.
So okay, tell us a little bit more about your book. What was your motivation behind writing it?
The motivation behind it was, again, I wanted people to show up for themselves. That was one of the things I was telling you before, is I wanted people to show up for themselves and to feel good about themselves. And Gwen, I've always been a firm believer that the power of words, like, what are you saying? What are you speaking? What are you putting out into the atmosphere?
Yeah.
Or what have you, on a daily basis. And I always tell people that you can determine, you can determine the flow of your day. And
Yeah.
that's not to say that something may not happen in the morning or something may not happen or what have you. But again, you have the power to dictate how that day is going to go for you or what have you. And so, literally about 8 years ago, it was so funny because it was like 8 years ago, this book was placed into my heart. And I started it, Gwen. I started it and I stopped with day 8. I don't know what it is about 8. Okay. Day
Okay.
8. But last year, probably like the spring, well, not the spring, because the book came out in September. But last year, 2024, I was at service at church, and there was a word. And I really felt like they was talking to me, like
Okay.
personally talking
Yeah.
to me. I was like, you know what? I got to get this book done. And Gwen, I kid you not, probably like the next week, I sat down, put my butt in the chair, got my computer, and I wrote. And within a couple of hours, I finished the book. It was just like, it came, the days that I was going to use, the quotes
Flow.
that I was going to use, it came to me and I finished it. And of course, after I finished it, I had like my behind the scene people. I reached out to them and I was like, hey, I finished my book. Of course, I sent it to editing to be edited, all that good, went through all the process. In addition to, doing the editing and all that good stuff, I did like the book cover photo shoot, which it was also time for me to do some more brand photos. So I was able to kind of do all of that
Okay.
into one. But everything just worked, Gwen. Oh my goodness. It worked where, from the person who did my editing, from the people behind the scene, where I had them to take a look at the cover, get their feedback. I had 3 amazing people to endorse the book. You're probably familiar with Pat Simmons. She endorsed my book. Dr. Velma Bagme endorsed my book.
I know
Stacey
her.
Hawkins Adams endorsed
Know
my book
her.
as well. But again, the main thing for this book is just for people to just be there for themselves, show up for themselves, just to give them some empowerment, just to give them them that joy of knowing, you know what, I can do some intentional living, and definitely the self-care. And Gwen, I wanted to share this part with you. One of the things with this book that I like to share is that when it goes back to self-care, is that a lot of times we pour into other people, but we don't pour back into ourselves. And I tell people all the time, you cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot. And it's like, it's almost like you pour out so much, and before you know it, you're running on fumes. And so I tell people that basically you need to pour into your cup, and then the overflow pretty much is what everybody else should get. And then it's a win-win situation.
You're right. Well, Angela, we're at the end of our time. It's
Oh,
been
wow.
like our chat. It was like talking to an old friend.
I know.
You're my new friend. We have to share books since we like some of the same books.
Yes.
That was amazing. So thank you so much for being a guest on the show. Really continued success with your platforms and your writing. And thank you for being a consistent viewer of this show.
You're so welcome. Thank you so much for having me. I am so appreciative.
Okay, have a great night.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, well, that's the end of the show for this week. Rhonda will be back with us next week, and we'll have another amazing lineup of guests for March. I think it's March 4th. Yeah, March 4th. And we'll see you next Tuesday on another episode of Black Authors Matter TV. I'm Gwen Richardson, your host, signing off. Good night.
Thank you for tuning in, and join us next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern for another edition of Black Authors Matter TV.